You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, and co-host Keelan Harvey on Alternative Talk AM 1150. Now, back to the show with local mortgage experts Tina Mitchell and Keelan Harvey.
Welcome back to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell.
And your co-host, Keelan Harvey.
Your local mortgage experts right here on 1150 AM KKNW, the Saturday, February 2nd show. It is a great day to talk money. That's what the show is all about, how to make money, save money, so you can have a better quality of life for you and your family. If you're hearing our show at a different time, you are listening to a rebroadcast, but we're here to answer any questions or connect with the guests that we have on the show today. Please call the show at 1-855-400-1150. Again, that's 1-855-400-1150 or online at themoneyhour.com. In studio right now, we have Andrea Kearns with RE/MAX Metro Realty. What does the real estate market hold for the next 6 months? Andrea, it's such a pleasure to have you back in studio again. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, and a little bit about Andrea. She is in her 15th year in real estate as a full-time broker. She grew up outside of Portland, Oregon in Lake
Oswego.
Thank you so much. She knew we were heading right there. And always dreamed of being a real estate agent when she grew up. After graduating from OSU with a business major and minor in communication marketing, she moved to Seattle where she met her husband. We're actually talking about her husband behind the scenes.
We were.
Give a shout out.
Shout out
to Dave Kearns.
Dave Kearns and Maker's Mark. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or if they'll pay me. Maybe they'll give me a free bottle. I don't know.
Tell your story really quickly.
Well,
because we were just, this is a behind the scenes for listening right now. It's kind of great to hear some of the behind the scenes conversation, but
I might secretly stalk her husband a little bit, Dave.
Well, it sounds like you were.
I love bourbon like no other, and I watched this whole video, like he did like an hour video going into different types of bourbon, and he's on the snazzy end of things when it comes to Maker's Mark and special barrels and such, and so he educated me on...
What was your aha?
Well, I like this whiskey Buffalo Trace. I went through all these fancy ones. It's not fancy, but it tastes really good, and I couldn't figure out why, and I love Maker's Mark, and it turns out they're both made with wheat. So, all
it's the wheat that
it's
you
the
like.
Wheat that I like.
So now you're looking for bourbon that have wheat in it.
Yeah, so it's all Dave. That was all Dave.
Yeah.
So,
well, you can follow Dave on Instagram. He's at Real Whiskey Dave.
Done.
And whiskey is without an E.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, you can follow him on Instagram and Twitter.
That's awesome. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Shout out.
So this is a husband-wife team
there you go.
shout out here.
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
Houses
Dave, thank you for
bourbon.
Houses
That's what we do.
Actually, that sounds really, really good. That'll help you get through a smooth transition, have a little bourbon.
Exactly.
So, Dave, thank you for being an inspiration to my co-host here, Keelan. All right, so back to business. We're actually here to talk about Andrea, but being that she's married to Dave, the bourbon guy, we had to bring him in as well. So Andrea started real estate with John L. Scott, then moved over to RE/MAX, where she has been for the last 11 years. She's been awarded the RE/MAX Hall of Fame Award and has continually ranked in the top 10 in her office. And because of that, I've actually just started my Coffee with a Superstar for 2019, so it'll be a staple of my business moving forward for the rest of my career. But we've done one superstar so far, and I'm so excited that we actually have Andrea booked for Coffee with a Superstar. So you can go on, it's a Facebook Live. I go to the agent's office and interview them in their space, and so it's kind of fun. Go to Coffee with a Superstar, and you can find Andrea when I interview her. And then Andrea couldn't be happier doing her dream job as well as helping buyers and sellers all around Seattle. So that was a long off-track bio there, but really loved it. So
Yeah, that's always fun.
I know.
Can't
We'll spice it up a little bit. Can't be the boring old bio all the time.
Well, Andrea, let's talk about it. A little craziness in the market. So we're hearing in the news and on the media that things have dropped and it's not the same as it was. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in the market these days, and especially these last few months.
Yeah. So we definitely had a bit of a shift, and I know that we all kind of started feeling it when I was here last time, which was I think June. But it all kind of started in May. You know, everything started. We weren't getting the multiple offers, and homes were sitting longer. And then come September, it was like what happened? Like the bottom fell out. Everyone was like, wait a minute, I was supposed to put my house on the market and get all these offers and supposed to go for
$100,000 over.
Exactly. Yeah. And that didn't happen. And everyone was kind of scratching their heads going,
and there was no reason.
I know.
Not
and that
any reason that we could actually physically touch and see.
I know. And I actually went back and I pulled the numbers today because I was like, I need some good, numbers to pull out. And I looked at the MLS data, and there is such a jump from even May to September. You see the level of inventory double in September from what it was even in January versus the number of homes sold. But as the inventory starts to trickle down again come December, and now we're moving into kind of, it's changing once again, which is always exciting. So
let's talk about right now, today.
Yeah.
What's happening?
So after the rocky fall, things were picking up, and it was interesting because the fall is usually it's usually pretty consistent, and then November, December, it's usually pretty quiet. November, December, it started to pick up again. It was like, what's going on? We had this really funny shift. And so now we're into January, and we are facing this, we don't have a lot of homes because all the sellers who tried to sell in September, October, got tired of it and took their house off the market. We don't have that inventory anymore. So now we have this low inventory level as of January. So there's a little more competition out there right now. So the sky is not falling like everyone thought maybe it was.
There's always the adjustments in the market, but it's definitely not falling.
So Andrea, is it still like a good time to buy, or what are your thoughts now? I mean,
most definitely. Interest rates have dropped.
So we noticed that.
The Fed's increased prime, and it's so funny because I always, I talk about the mortgage rates they're not directly tied to prime. A lot of people, they think, well, the Fed's increased prime, mortgage rates went up. They're not. That's short-term lending, not long-term lending. And sometimes mortgage rates follow what prime does, and other times they do the opposite. And this is an example. And the reason why is because people started getting nervous about what was going on in the presidency and what's happening in the world. And then, here with real estate and all of the areas, we're going through the same shift as, you and I were at the same she's not an economist, but she knows a lot and knows what she's talking about, what's happening in the market. And it's happening all over. It's not just in our local market here with the adjustment. So with that consumer lack of confidence and a little bit of scareness coming in with the adjustment, they're pulling out of the stock market, going into the bond market, and when the bond market increases, rates go down. So
I know it seems like all the money's moving into the bond right now, and so it's
good for us.
I know low
good for
interest
buyers.
rates,
good for buyers.
I know, so good for buyers. So definitely a great time to buy. And especially with those low interest rates. And then there's a lot of overpriced homes that are sitting there, and they've been on the market for a while. And it's a great time for those buyers to come in. They always go, what's wrong with it? Why has it been on for 2 months and no one else wants it? It's overpriced. That's usually what it is. It's overpriced. So,
and great advice for you, telling them go out there and make an offer because nobody is.
Exactly.
So what a great opportunity, right?
Exactly.
So what is your strategy on that?
So usually, it depends on how long it's been on the market.
Okay.
But, we'll pull the comps to see what's the value? Where should this house really be? There's a reason why it hasn't sold, and it's usually either price or presentation. If the presentation online is not good, it's not going to bring the buyers in. If the presentation online is fine, but they're still not getting offers, it's the price. So let's figure out what that price is and what is a fair offer, and let's go in and offer that. And usually by then the seller is pretty desperate and pretty anxious to get it sold, so that they really want to see an offer and they're willing to negotiate. You can even go in a little lower. I mean, what are they going to say? No? Okay, fine. Come back with something else. So, it never hurts to ask. People get afraid. Oh, am I going to offend them? Well, yeah, you might. So there is, a little bit of a line that you want to kind of stay on and not cross. You don't want to go really low, but
that's why they have you, because you're going to let them know exactly where this should be listed. And,
right.
Yes.
Right.
And be able
this
to provide that data to help
exactly
for the
where
seller to
it
see.
should be at, which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, definitely still a great time to buy. Lots of good deals out there for the buyers, and take advantage of those interest rates.
Yes.
Man.
Amen on that. What about let's flip the script. What about selling? Is it a great time to sell? What are your thoughts about selling in the market we're in now?
Fantastic. I keep telling all my sellers right now, they always talk about the spring. The spring is a great time to sell. It really is. But there is no inventory right now. Get your home on the market now if you can. I mean, really.
This is craziness.
I know. They're saying in the economists that we went and saw, you know, they've been talking about how the inventory levels in the spring are going to probably be pretty comparable to what they were in September, where we had this influx of inventory. And then the buyers kind of said, well, I don't know. There's too many to choose from. I don't need to make a decision. I can take,
just, oh my
you
gosh.
know. And so then the seller's like, oh, no, we want to sell now. So I say, you know, the spring usually is the best time, but the sellers might either want to get it on now or maybe wait and see how the spring goes, and maybe the summer, because the summer might be a better time with not as much competition out there.
So if you were talking to a seller that's thinking of selling in the next 6 months, is that, what advice would you give them?
I would say do it now
Yeah.
or wait till the summer.
Got it. Great
Yeah,
advice.
because I think the spring is going to be just influx of inventory, and it's going to be, you know, buyers are going to be a little overloaded. So it'll be interesting. I don't know. You know, if we all had a crystal ball,
I know it's always great to
we'd
go
be
back.
millionaires. But you know,
It's always great to go back and listen to things that you've said and go, okay, well, I was right on that. Well, not on that.
yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting.
So switching back to buyers, what should a buyer know if they're looking to enter the market right now? What's your best advice for our buyers out there trying to find their new dream home?
I would say they need to get pre-approved. First and foremost, know what you can afford, know, you know, what your monthly payments are going to be. Also, you don't have to have 20% to buy a home, 20% down. A lot of people think, I don't have 20%, so I can't buy a home.
You can do down payment assistance, I think it's went up to like $141,000 for the grant programs. You can do a 5% down payment, not paying any monthly PMI by doing a buyout. I mean, there's so many, and you can buy 5% down payment all the way up to a loan amount that hit the new high loan limits, which is $797. I'm drawing a blank here, but it's at the high sevens now that the high balance loan limit went up. So a 95% loan to value up to almost an $800,000 loan. That's crazy.
I know. It's crazy. And if you're a veteran, you can do zero down.
All the way up to the high balance limits, the new high, as long as you're buying in King, Pierce, or Snohomish County.
So I mean, there's lots of options out there, and I think people need to realize that and not forget that. And then number 2, be patient. You know, sometimes it can take a little while to find a home. Sometimes it can happen really quickly. It's just hard to know. And, you know, due to the limited inventory we are having this month, you know, February, March might be a little different. But, you know, there might be some competition. So be prepared for that. Talk to your realtor about that. What does that entail? You know, what do I need to be prepared for on that front? How do I make my offer competitive? You know, this is not 100,000 over. This is not what we're doing in this market right now. But you can definitely shape your offer to have competitive terms so that you stand out from the buyer next to you. So again, talk to your realtor about that. And just get in now while the interest rates are still really low, because they are just phenomenal.
Yeah, great advice.
Yeah, the rates on the buying power is significant, really significant. And thank you for saying something about getting pre-approved, because I don't know why I work with some newer agents and I love them to death, but I have to tell them, like, save your time. You know what I mean?
Don't waste your time in the car with these people until you know what they can afford.
And these people, why are you going to look at a home, you know, that you might not be able to afford and get all excited about it, and then you feel like, you know, something's taken away from you in this? Rather, figure out exactly where you are and then go find the best deal that fits your financing. Because a lot of times people approve for more than they want as far as a payment.
Yeah.
And it's like buying a new car, right? You buy a new car, the novelty wears off, and all you think about is that darn payment.
I know.
So make sure you're comfortable with that and you're happy with that. And then you can kind of gear where you're going to go from there. And it makes everybody's life so much easier.
It's so true.
And the process smoother, because once you're emotionally tied into something and, and all of a sudden things are coming out of the woodworks, that's not fun. You want to know you have a clear path and everybody's happy and here's what we're going to do and here's how we're going to do it.
I know. I always
Great
tell people,
advice.
what if we go look at a house today and you absolutely love it? Would you be prepared to make an offer today?
Yeah, great
no, I
question.
don't have my financing
Yeah.
together. Okay, well, see, that's why we
Need to take a step back.
cannot even look at a house until you have those ducks lined
Yeah.
up in a row. Because
Yes.
trust me, you will find one you love, and if you're not able to jump now,
You've lost it.
You've
It's
lost
emotionally
it.
not going to be great.
I know it can be an emotional journey. So
Exactly.
gotta make sure you're prepared for
So,
sure.
Andrea, we've talked about economists saying about the real estate market heading into to the next 6 months, and we were just talking about the event that we went to. But what other things are you hearing from the economists in the next 6 months?
That they're saying that the most amount of inventory is really going to be in the spring. I mean, that was really the big thing. So if you're thinking of selling, again, now is the time. Wait, if you're thinking in the spring, I'd say just wait, kind of wait and see how it goes, because there may be just, your neighbor next door might be listing their house, and, that's a lot more competition than you want, and you could make a lot more money if you get in on a time when the inventory levels are a little bit lower. And I'd say if you're a buyer, get out there now as well. I mean, it's just, I can't even say. I feel like maybe the title of my segment should have been "The Time Is Now."
Oh,
the time is now.
That's good. The time is now.
The time is now. The time is now.
So, Andrea, do you have a strategy that you found that works really well with buyers and sellers, specifically now in the market? What are you seeing that's really working for your buyers and sellers right now?
Yeah, so some of those homes that have been sitting a little bit and the sellers are, maybe a little stubborn on their price, and the buyers are feeling like, well, it needs to be dropped down a little bit. One strategy I've seen work really well is having the seller buy down the interest rate, because it's a win-win for both sides. So let's say the seller pays $5,000, $10,000 and they buy down the interest rate. So that is basically a $5,000, $10,000 credit to the buyer, which then reduces their mortgage payment much more significantly than if they were to get a $5,000, $10,000 price adjustment.
Love it.
On the purchase price. And so in the end, the sellers don't have to give as much because the buyers get so much more with that reduction in their interest rate.
That is such a great, and that's why you're such an awesome agent, Andrea, because you are shifting. Because who would have thought a seller give a buy down, like if we're talking like a 2-1 buy down or a buy down for the life of the loan, huge benefit. But we're coming so quickly out of a mindset that nothing from the seller. And so now you're automatically shifting and reshifting your thoughts to let's get creative, but nobody's doing it. Actually just gave me chills for real, because I just think it's really cool when experts are able to adjust so quickly to the adjusting times, because just as you had stated in this, our time together, the market is like, quickly doing this up and down, and we're looking towards that next one. So you've got to really be able to work on your feet very quickly, if that's the expression I'm looking for. So great advice, because every 10,000, you're probably talking maybe 50, 60, 70, depending on the down payment, bucks a month. Nothing compared to a buy down on the interest rate. Love that.
Yeah. So I've found that to be a really great strategy.
Yeah. Well, Andrea, thank you so much for coming in. And what's the title of the show?
The time is now.
The time is now.
The time is now if you're a buyer or a seller.
Love it. Andrea, thank you. Can't wait to have you back, and I can't wait to interview you for the Coffee with the Superstar.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Thanks again. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Coming up next to the Money Hour, we have Create an Impact and Gain More Sales Without Saying a Word. Kirsten Shields with Body Language Strategy System right here at 11:50 a.m. KKNW after this short break.